We have made it to the end of the week and the first week of 2024. Look at that. We made it to Friday, Colton.
We did it.
Yay! How are you doing on this Friday?
I'm good. It's been busy today, but but good overall. And we were talking about News today at 11. Given all of the weather that we're going to be seeing here as of late,
you're about to get a lot busier.
Yeah, I think us in the weather department very busy over the next several days.
Oh yes. So go enjoy whatever time off you have, and I'm sure you'll still be tracking all of the latest.
Yeah, even when
forecast.
I'm not here, I'm still working.
Oh, yes.
But this is why. Well, let's show you the graphic because we have snow in the forecast 8 out of the next 10 days.
That is unbelievable.
It is, especially given what we've seen so far.
Which is no snow.
Basically. This does not mean that we're going to see accumulating snow each and every one of these days, but it does show that we are entering a very active weather pattern and cooler weather pattern as well, with some range, or I should say some cooler temperatures that are also on the way. So I want to break this down in a kind of different way. And I want to show it based on impacts. So this weekend is our first chance of seeing some snow. I don't think this causes a lot of issues for us. We will see some snow showers Saturday and into Sunday. Could see some light accumulation with this. We're talking about an inch or so. Many areas will see less than that. Some areas may not see anything, so very low impacts this weekend. Now, I broke down Tuesday and into Wednesday because we will be seeing our next storm system come in. That's the strongest one out of the bunch, and this one has the better chance at bringing us some higher impacts in terms of wind, in terms of possibly some rain, and in terms of some snow as well. So we will see some higher impacts from that system than any of the other systems. And then our models are also showing that we may see another system come in on Friday of next week, and that one may also try to bring us some wintry weather. So let's talk about the Tuesday system. It's a brand new model update that we just got in here within the last couple of hours. And what is likely going to happen, many of our models are suggesting, is that this will start off as some snow early Tuesday morning, so that morning commute on Tuesday could be impacted by this. And then watch what happens as we move throughout the afternoon. It looks like many of our models suggest that we'll change over to some rain, and then possibly on the backside of this, as colder air starts to move back in, we see some colder air move in, and that changes things back over to some snow as we head Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So it might be one of those times that we're kind of going back and forth between rain and snow, but this is still pretty far out, so this can still change. Our computer models are still going to bounce around a bit, so if this thing ends up shifting a little bit further to the south, we could be put back in play of more of a snowy solution. But if it shifts a little bit further to the north, it could mean some more rain. So we're still seeing that, but our models are kind of suggesting that this scenario is continuing to show up in the models, so we'll keep an eye on it. But either way you look at it, even if this particular run pans out with the snow, then rain, then snow, we do get accumulation still, though. So that's why I think our overall risk of seeing impacts from this does continue to go up, because the system's not going away and it doesn't look like it's going to miss us. So we are going to continue to fine-tune the details. We are not going to be talking about snowfall amounts at this time, but given what I've seen, it's most likely going to be our biggest snow of the season. That's not saying much, because our biggest snow of the season is 2.5 inches. So we'll be keeping an eye on this very closely to know we do have our chance at seeing our first, I don't want to say significant, our first meaningful snow of the season as we head into early next week. So definitely need to keep an eye on it and make sure that you're planning ahead for this. Tuesday's the day that we'll see this come down, but I would suspect that most of our impacts and some of the worst of the impacts would happen Wednesday morning. So start thinking about that next week. Use this weekend. Make sure you have the snow blowers and things like that all ready to go, just in case we do see some more snow from this upcoming system. I think I got through that okay.
No, you did.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Colton said, make sure you're staying alert, aware, and you prepare yourselves. You can do that with the First Alert Weather app, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But also, go ahead and watch their winter survival guide. They talk about how to, get yourself ready with your car, whether that's your tire pressure or, watching out for potholes, all that stuff. And making sure your tire treads are good too, so that we have traction on the roads.
Yeah, and Studio 10 just did a story yesterday that was about this type of stuff too. So very useful tools. You can find it all on our website. But, we jumped forward to Tuesday. Obviously, that's still a few days away. So let's talk about today's weather. This is our 127 Skycam. Cloudy skies, as expected. We may see a few breaks in the clouds this afternoon, but not expecting a ton of sunshine. Temperatures right near that freezing mark right now. A little bit warmer than what we saw yesterday, but still relatively cool. And looking at the hour-by-hour forecast, there are some of those breaks in the clouds that may try to sneak in here later this evening. I think for the most part, though, we're going to stay cloudy. And then as we head into tonight, what's possible is that that system that I mentioned is going to move in from the southwest, and we may see some flurries by tomorrow morning, and then we'll see some isolated snow showers as we head throughout the day tomorrow. Not expecting anything major whatsoever, but if you do find yourself in one of these snow showers, watch for some slippery travel conditions. And through the weekend, we may pick up around an inch of snow. Sunday morning, there are a few more snow showers, so it's not going to snow this entire weekend. I don't want you to think this is anything major, but just some on and off snow showers both Saturday and into Sunday as well across mid-Michigan. So here's the weekend. I have snow showers both days, but I don't think it's going to cause major issues. 34 Saturday, 36 on Sunday, and we'll see those on and off snow showers both of those days. The more impactful weather holds off until next week, Tuesday, and then that other system that may come in on Friday. I believe I have the 10-day temperature trend. I do.
All right.
Showing temperatures that'll be raining relatively warm here, right? So we're talking temperatures in the middle to upper 30s, so that's why the rain-snow battle exists. Once we get towards Friday of next week, though, that one has a little bit more colder air. We could be talking about a little bit more snow with that system if it still pans out. That's a week out. Lots of time to watch that one. And then our models suggest that there could be another system beyond that heading into next weekend, looking like the Sunday time frame. So we're talking a system for the weekend, one on Tuesday, one on Friday, and then potentially one next weekend. So there are 4 systems to keep an eye on over the next 10 days, all of which could bring us some wintry weather. But I do want to point out one thing, too. We may get some snow, but we're not seeing the real cold. However, that may change. So some of our longer range models are showing once we get closer to the third week of January that we actually get some cold air.
Ooh, okay.
So it may coincide with our El Nino beginning to weaken. That's forecast to happen this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how the tail end of the winter ends up being, but it does look like there is some colder air that will finally start to work its way in, not only here locally, but even across most of the northern parts of the country. So we'll keep an eye on that, but definitely feeling a lot more like winter than we saw last month. So we'll get our chances. We'll have our snow chances. If you like the snow, we have them in the forecast. We'll see how they all shape out, but it definitely feels much more like how winter should be. And, too, we ran that story this morning on News 10 Today at 11 about the UP and that song.
Yeah, what was it? Heike Luta.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Heike Lunta Snow Dance song.
Yeah.
Heike Luta Snow Dance song. It was very catchy.
Yeah, so it's really funny, and but it's true. A lot of people, especially in the UP, rely on the snow much more than we do, and so we need the snow not only here locally, we need it across the state, and there's virtually no ice on the Great Lakes right now. So I think once we get some of these colder temperatures, we'll start to build some of that.
No, I think they said 0.35% of the Great Lakes had ice, and that was it.
Yeah,
0.35%.
not much, which is insane.
Yeah.
So it's going to feel much more like winter. I think January will be ending a lot differently than how we started the month of January. And potentially us getting some snow, potentially us getting some colder temperatures as well. So winter, if you thought we were going to avoid it this year, it does not look like that's going to be the case. But it does look like the second half of January is going to be much more active.
Yes. Yes, it looks like that for sure. Just within the 10 days, again, I'm still astounded that we are getting snow 8 of the 10 days. And then
Right.
4 systems within
Systems
that.
to keep an eye on. Yeah, and it's pretty incredible, even just looking at the models myself, how it's just a parade of systems that'll be crossing the country. But that's what you kind of see. Once you start seeing El Nino weaken a little bit, the weather pattern starts to change. You get the jet stream more involved, and that's exactly what's happening here. So we'll see how many of those result in us seeing snow. I would suspect that not all of them will, but we'll keep an eye on them and know that it is going to be feeling much more like winter over the next 10 days than where we have been.
Yeah, so, we have Sean who says, can next week's storm turn into an ice storm like a few years back?
No, I do not think so. So you need a perfect combination to get the ice storm, and that doesn't look like it. We may be talking about some rain and snow mix, but I don't really expect a ton of freezing rain with this, so I don't think so. The ice storm, I don't believe, is in the cards for this upcoming system. What may happen is that it ends up being a very wet snow.
Okay.
So that's something to keep in mind. It might be tough, whatever we do end up seeing accumulate, if we do see accumulation. it's going to be a heavy wet snow. So that's something to keep in mind. It might be tough to shovel and things like that. And those also may weigh down on some of the trees and power lines. Sometimes you can see outages because of that. But no, I'm not expecting this to be an ice storm. It will not be an ice storm.
I do want to give a quick note. If you are shoveling, try not to get that big of a scoop. Do little by little. We've reported stories annually talking about the increased risk of heart attacks happening sometimes with community members when they're shoveling. It's a lot of work, strenuous activity, especially when you're out in the cold. And so as you're shoveling, just, take your time out there and give yourself rest.
Yeah, and for many of us, if we end up seeing accumulation from next week's system, I keep saying if because it is still an if, it's still several days out. This is the first time, right, this winter season that we've been talking about something that will be more than just a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye on it, but yeah, definitely useful tips. And, what I would recommend too is not only downloading the News 10 First Alert weather app, which is free, by the way, but also just keep us on through the weekend.
Yeah.
I'll be in tomorrow. Justin will be in on Sunday, and then you'll have Darren and Andy back on Monday. And so keep an eye out. We'll have updates throughout the next several days when it comes to the system. It's too soon to talk about snowfall totals at this point, but I would suspect that probably tomorrow we might be able to put out an initial low end range of this is what we're talking about, and then certainly by the time we get into Sunday and Monday, that's when we can definitely start talking about how much snow we could see from this. So we'll just stay with us. We'll update you. I always say that this is the stuff that I get paid to do, is worry about this stuff and watch these things, look at new model data every time it comes in, because that's what I've been doing all day.
That's right.
But I like it.
You do like it.
So we'll update you and let you know. And we always like to play it safe. We always like to be conservative. We don't want anyone panicking or worrying about this system. But at this point, Tuesday does look like that's the day that we'll see the system come in.
All right. Well, thank you, Colton. One more time, we'll take a look at the 10-day temperature trend just to give you a better idea. But again, you can download the First Alert weather app if you don't have it already downloaded. And you can go into settings in your notifications, and you can specify which notifications you're getting. So say you do live in Mason and you don't want to get notifications for all the way in Jackson, you can specify it to your liking. The other thing, especially with the winter storm moving in, you can get traffic alert updates on the First Alert weather app. So if there are accidents, if there are any black ice on the road, you're able to stay alert with that as well.
Right. And, even though we haven't had a big snow this year, we've had some travel issues, on the roads because of some of the mist or, drizzle or light snow that we have seen. So it's useful all year round, and make sure you download it. It's free, and we post updates in there all the time.
All right. Thank you, Colton. Yes, and he's going to be very busy, but you will see him during Studio 10 at 3 o'clock today, which is in just over 40 minutes, followed by First at 4. Then Andy Provenzano will be in for our 90 minutes of news.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Colton. We'll see you then coming up Studio 10. Here's what's coming up during First at 4 in our 90 minutes of news today. So coming up on Mid-Michigan Matters today, we are bringing in Buddy's Pals, a handler and one of their comfort dogs, to speak on their mission of being at Berkey Hall this upcoming Monday at 8 in the morning. And their goal is to help transition students and staff back to Berkey Hall. So we're coming up almost a year since the mass shooting on Michigan State University's campus, where again 3 students were killed, 2 of them inside one of the classrooms at Berkey Hall. And so as the university reopens Berkey Hall this upcoming Monday for this semester as students return, they're going to help with a lot of different comfort teams, a lot of different dogs, support notes, really comforting the students as, again, they come back into Berkey Hall. I will say, though, that the classroom where the 2 students were killed, that will not be used again. I will reemphasize that. That will not be used again. But again, coming up during Mid-Michigan Matters today, hear from Buddy's Pals, the handler who is bringing in their dog, their comfort dog, to speak on their mission, being there for students and staff at Berkey Hall this upcoming Monday at 8 in the morning. And then coming up, News 10 at 5 today, students are linking up to help those with special needs to gain confidence and develop social skills. So in this week's Schools Rule, News 10's Justin Kent checks in on a Holt High School program that has been running for the last 15 years. And coming up, News 10 at 5:30, Joey Ellis will be live from Mason for our game of the week this week. And then News 10 at 6, the first beer sales begin at Mun Ice Arena tonight as the Spartans face off against the U.S. national under-18 team. So a lot of that coming up during our 90 minutes of news, and a little bit more information I'll share in just a minute here. But we do have Amaya Kuznicki standing next to me. And Amaya, what are you working on today?
Yeah, so today I am talking about the Lansing Board of Water and Light. They're kind of getting some national attention for their work replacing lead pipes here in the city of Lansing. Now, they started that all the way back in 2004, and they actually completed the project in 2016. So they were one of the second cities in the country to actually completely be lead pipe free. So now they're kind of sharing their wisdom with other cities across the country. So we have that story coming up tonight at 5:30, and I speak with the general manager of Lansing Board of Water and Light, and he kind of just reflects on their experiences and shares, you know, some of their what they might have struggled with and kind of how to help these other cities get rid of all of their lead pipes.
All right, and again, you said that's coming up what time?
5:30.
All right, and you said 5:30.
Yeah, so make sure you guys tune in.
Sounds good. Thank you,
Yeah,
Maya. We
thank
will
you,
see
Taylor.
you then. One thing that I do also want to make note of is our You're Not Alone mental health series. And Emmerich had a story that ran last night during our 90 minutes of news, talking about a Lansing man who actually had his own law firm and then ended up living under a Lansing bridge. So from addict to advocate, there we go. Addict to Advocate. That was a story that Ann Emmerich worked on. Again, that aired last night during our 90 minutes of news. But if you're going through a hard time, whether you're struggling personally, whether you know a lot of different factors around you are influencing your behavior and shaking up your emotional well-being, go scan that QR code that's on your screen with your cell phone camera, and it'll pull up a list of resources throughout our area, whether that's in Clinton County, Ionia, Ingham, Eaton, Shiawassee, Jackson, Lenawee County, any of those. You can scan that QR code and be guided toward more of those resources if you're facing anxiety, suicidal thoughts, depression, stress, anything of the sort, or maybe it's not even for you, but for someone else that you know and love in your life. So feel free to pass that forward. Our You're Not Alone mental health series, you can look forward to more stories from community members and health experts all throughout the year, and know that you're not alone. We do have Aaron Bowling as well as Riley Connell out in the field sharing what they have coming up during our 90 minutes of news. We're going to start it with Aaron.
Thanks, Taylor. Today I'm headed to Eagle Township to talk with some folks about a new statewide ballot initiative that's working to reverse a clean energy bill that was recently signed into law. I'll have why they feel this way on News 10 at 5. Back to you, Taylor.
All right, thank you, Aaron. And like she said, more coming up News 10 at 5. We are now moving on to News 10's Riley Connell, who's coming up News 10 at 6. And she was on a breaking news story this morning on News 10 today at 11. We'll hear what she has coming up during our 90 minutes of news.
Hi, Taylor. Good afternoon. It's a terrible scene to see. We have 22 units of a 24-unit apartment building almost completely destroyed and 22 residents displaced. Now, coming up on News 10 at 6, we'll tell you how some of these residents are feeling and what kind of relief efforts are out there for those who have no place to go back to.
All right, thank you, Riley. And like she said, more coming up News 10 at 6. We're seeing all the destruction to those 22 units. That happened at an apartment complex in Portland earlier this morning. So again, Riley will have more coming up News 10 at 6 today. I am going to give another quick look outside. This is over Mason, over Keene's store. And so taking a look, again, right now is a pretty quiet day weather-wise, but like Colton was saying, starting this weekend and more so Tuesday into Wednesday of next week, we're going to be experiencing a lot more wintry weather across mid-Michigan. So just make sure that you're staying alert, you're staying prepared. And of course, you can always download the First Alert Weather app, which I will show you once again, because it's always great to stay prepared. So make sure, again, you are looking forward to that. And something else I do want to mention before we get off of the News 10 Plus desk is happening this Monday night at 7. You can look forward to Victor's Valiant with Michigan taking on the Washington Huskies. You're seeing that game at 7 o'clock Monday night. A huge game. Who is going to be the victor of the national championship game? So we have that you can look forward to coming up Monday at 7 p.m. here on News 10. Other than that, though, Studio 10 is coming up at 3 o'clock which is in just under 40 minutes here. But if you want to stay connected with them, here's all of their social media that you can look forward to or that you can use, and go on to places like YouTube and type in Studio 10 or at WILX Studio 10. You'll be able to pull up all of their past segments and rewatch anything that is of interest to you, or maybe it's of interest to someone else that you know, and you can pass that information along. It's also the end of the first week of the new year, so maybe you're still looking for New Year's resolutions. You're giving yourself this week to get settled in. Maybe give yourself next week to give yourself another restart. But there you go. If you're looking for any New Year's resolutions, ideas, you can go to Studio 10, and they talk about new hobbies, especially focusing on local businesses in the area that are helping out with new hobbies and activities. So again, Studio 10 coming up in just under 40 minutes here, followed by First at 4 and our 90 minutes of news. So make sure you're tuning in, and also especially tuning in to our meteorologists. Again, Colton Cichoracki will be on for Studio 10 at 3 o'clock, also for First at 4 following Studio 10. And then Andy Provenzano will be on during our 90 minutes of news. And you can look forward to Colton on Saturday, Justin Bradford on Sunday, and then, of course, all of our meteorologists heading back Monday into the week. So making sure you're staying on top of all of the changes with the different systems moving in to mid-Michigan happening this weekend and into next week. Again, 8 of the 10 days in our forecast so far over the next 10 days, 8 of those will have snow in 4 different systems like Colton was talking about. So again, if you don't have the First Alert weather app, make sure you download that to your phone for the latest weather forecast updates, also for traffic alert updates, but also staying up to date online and on air. Until then, have a great rest of your Friday and a great first weekend of 2024.